Okay, welcome to episode 32 of Meet the Voter. Today we have Dr. Nicholas Hernandez from Laguna Beach, who I think we just went to started the selection process of the delegates from Orange County, California, from the Democrat side. Jonathan Denwood from Carson City. Myself, Bill Connor, Republican from Reno, Nevada. Also, just of note, this weekend the Democrats in Nevada are having their convention in Las Vegas, and the Republicans are up here in Carson City. I don't have anybody on who's down at the convention. I might stroll down there this afternoon and see how things turned out. So with that said, I would say that politics has really hit an all-time low this week between both the Democrats and the Republicans. Jonathan, any thoughts on that?
I watched that link you sent to me with the interview, Saunders Trump affects Meet Voter, where it was the beloved Debbie. How do you pronounce her second name? Westminster. Yeah. I just call her Debbie Liar. That's what I call her. And it was just a typical Debbie interview where she waffles, she won't answer the questions the interviewer asks her. It was just a typical Debbie performance. How she ever became the position that she holds is beyond.
She's a congresswoman, and she is the chairman of the Democrat Party.
Debbie Wasserman Schultz.
Yeah. She's just she's just like her master, Hillary, she's like the mirror image, evasive, lying, doesn't answer, incapable of answering a straight question with a straight answer. It was just one of her typical. What do you think, Nick? Would you summarize her under those terms?
Yeah, she's following Republican voting all the way. She actually is lobbying for
Republican, maybe crony capitalist.
Yeah, okay.
Let's call it crony capitalist, because these aren't Republicans who are voting crony capitalism. There's something else.
Well, she's lobbying for predatory lenders. I mean, if there's anything as undemocratic as that, and taking the money that the DNC is collecting and is supposed to be spread evenly for candidates around, and using 99% of it for Hillary, and then voter fraud. How many suits are there in every state? Like in Las Vegas, look what happened, rioting, and it was the Bernie people that were doing it, not the Hillary people. Barbara Boxer gave a speech yesterday, and she got booed so hard because she was advocating for Hillary, and then she got mad and said, "Well, your booing isn't going to help. Hillary's still going to win." And Barbara's a friend of mine, but I'm appalled at what she's who she's backing. Backing Hillary is it's just as bad as backing Trump. I mean, it's crazy. It's absolute lunacy. The people, I'm confused and lost.
It's a bit much when the president of the Democratic Committee is quite happy to lobby for payday loan, and when Google won't even take their money now. Google ain't fussy.
Yeah. I mean, everything about it is so skewed the wrong way. I was at a forum yesterday. It was interesting at the Democratic headquarters of Orange County, DPOC, Democratic Party of Orange County. That's the acronym, DPOC. And so it was just a forum where we were supposed to be talking about Hillary or Bernie, and we were not allowed to bash the other person, right? All we were allowed to do, which was fine, is just say why we were voting for who we were voting for. And there were about 60 people, and it was 45 to 15 for Bernie. And everywhere I go, the lines, the rallies for Bernie are giant, and yet Hillary keeps winning. But then they found out,
but she doesn't keep winning. That's
no, they're cheating. They're cheating and not even trying to hide it. And this past week, you guys, over 100 delegate count were shifted to Bernie for indiscretions in the voting tallies. They called it indiscretions or mistakes. So 100 went, and then they nearly rioted. The DNC people in Las Vegas had to run out the back door. They
had to do a run. They had to literally
running. They were running out the back door.
I was listening to a podcast on Politico, and its title is Hillary Clinton in Trouble? And my answer is yes, she is in trouble. She thinks she's bagged this and it's all done and over with. Every day goes past, her popularity sinks more. The more people see of her and her creeps that support her, the more she's in trouble.
The cheating DNC, lying, and voter fraud every which way. And now it's starting in California. People are getting their ballots, their mail-in ballots in California now.
Yeah.
And a bunch of them are getting ballots that doesn't have Bernie on it.
That's what
Yeah.
make sure you're going to win it.
I mean, it's and they're
Nick,
then they're
when they're voting.
Huh?
When's your voting? Is it 14th?
June 7th.
Oh, June 7th.
Mm-hmm.
Second, June 7th. Okay.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's everywhere I go, I see this raging. I see Bernie stickers everywhere. I've seen like maybe one or two Hillary stickers. I see the rallies go ballistic. I've been to several of them. The Hillary things are small. The Hillary events are small, and yet she supposedly wins the votes. That's and Americans right now are so dumb that they're not doing anything about it. Well, I'm glad they rioted in Las Vegas. I mean, and did you see day before yesterday? 2,000 people went to the CNN headquarters in LA. Did you hear about that?
No.
Of course, it wasn't. Yeah, 2,000 people were there for over 4.5 hours, and screaming and yelling, wanting CNN to report on Bernie. And of course, CNN it was all over social media, but CNN didn't put it on CNN, of course. And so I look at CNN or even MSNBC, and they're just reading a line fed to them. They're not talking about the reality of what's going on. The dumbing down of America is pretty complete, and it's.
I don't know if it's dumbing down, or I think it's just big government led by both the parties getting too much control of the system and government. Well, it's not necessarily dumbing down. I mean, for example, the massacres that happened with the communist takeover in the revolution in Russia wasn't dumbing down. It was a political concepts between between governments, and a lot of people were killed. It's not dumbing down. It's like when governments start falling apart, and this is maybe for the first signs of us really being in trouble as a nation.
You never know. Can we get on to Mr. Trump or John Miller or whatever he's called? Can we get on to that? I just find it delicious, Bill.
Yeah, let's go ahead and what else we're going to hit today? I didn't catch CNN because your soccer was on, Jonathan, this morning on TV. I don't know if you noticed that. I could not CNN. I couldn't watch Meet the Press. I'll have to watch it afterward. I did watch a couple other local shows.
Meet the Press wasn't on this morning. I looked all over for it. It wasn't on.
We had soccer on and not Meet the Press.
I think that's really a great decision, Bill. I think they did that more, this country would get more like Canada. All right. I just want to get on to Mr. Trump, John Miller. What's his other name, Nick?
John Barron. He named his last child Barron Trump.
Barron. So who is this guy, Bill? Is he Mr. Trump, Mr. Miller, or Mr. Barron? That's what I want to know, Bill.
I don't think in his wildest dreams 20 some odd years ago ever thought he was going to run and get the nomination for president of the United States.
Wait, Bill, I just saw a 20-year-old on not Meet the Press, but what's the other one? Face the Nation.
Uh-huh.
Okay, they had Larry King on, and and he's looking fairly old, and it was a current interview. It was an interview that happened a couple days ago, and they showed a 20-year-old clip of Larry King interviewing Donald Trump, and Donald Trump said he was organizing a team to research running for the presidency.
I sort of remember that. That was 20 years ago. I remember
20 years ago. I just saw it. I just saw it 5 minutes ago.
This is the first time he's actually really run though.
Yeah, it's the first time. And they were analyzing it. Nate Silver, and his crew said he only had a 5% chance about a year ago.
Yeah, well, what gets me, guys, is if he wants to ring up people under a synonym, that's his. But then they got him on interviews saying, "I never did it." You
can hear his voice.
He's on one interview, and he must have said it I never run up these people. Well, everybody knows he rings up. You know, Bill, be honest. Do you really? You got two young, daughters. Do you really want this geezer with access to the launching codes? Really, Bill? Do you really want this guy to have access to the launching codes? Come on, Bill, please tell me. Do you really want this guy to have access to the
one reason I didn't support, I went through 4 people until we ended up with him as a nominee. But one of the reasons I didn't support him early on because of what he said about bombing civilians in combat. And that's just not what America stands for. And it's very naive. That's not how we fight wars. We don't ever do that intentionally. It's happened in World War II. But even in World War II, if you study what we did what we call pinpoint targeted bombing, where the other allies actually did night raids, and we did
except
day
for
raids.
Hiroshima and Nagasaki.
Yes, except for Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Those are 2 places that.
Well, Bill,
those are hard decisions.
What do you call the firebombing of Tokyo?
I thought about that.
150,000 people got barbecued in one evening, Bill. Do you really call that pinpoint bombing, Bill?
And the war was going to be over without those bombs being dropped. Those
No,
bombs
no,
were.
Bill, I don't think
do
that
you
history.
call-
That's not the story, at least. The invasion of
Bill,
Japan was 1 million people.
Yeah, Bill, do you call the carpet bombing of North Vietnam, Laos and Cambodia one of the biggest bombing I've ever seen under Nixon? Do you really call that pinpoint bombing, Bill?
I can't talk on that. I didn't study that much. I did study World War II quite a bit in West Point. And we didn't study much of Vietnam, believe it or not.
All right, let's get off there. That could
But
be
I know that generally anything I've done in my 30-some-odd years in the military as an officer is we've done everything we can to preserve life of the civilians, period, of all cases. And we've lost American lives because of it in our philosophy. And if you look at Afghanistan right now, the casualties were down as low as 1,000 for civilian casualties. But now they're up to around 5,000 a year. And that's since we pulled way back. There's only 10,000 Americans on the ground right now. And the Afghans are running. The Afghan army is doing the battle. And they're just between the Taliban and the army, the civilians are getting eaten.
Yeah, I don't.
That's my real experience.
I don't want to take up too much time because
Go back to John Miller.
Yeah, let's go back. But I just want to quickly say, Bill, I don't want to go into specifics, but I do really, and I think it's the same thing we're seeing now in this campaign, in this political campaign. I do think the crony capitalist controlled media have a narrative about what's going on outside of America, about how things are run and how military campaigns are run. And it's I don't believe the narrative anymore. I just don't believe what the controlled media's narrative about what's going on in these areas. I just don't believe it, Bill.
I don't know what we do with the situation in the South or Central Asia and in the Middle East. That area is pretty screwed up in itself with combatants. I mean, there's at least, who knows how many ISIS fighters there really are, but there are a lot out there. They're holding territory. You still have the Taliban fighting the Afghan army. Here, let's take a pause. It's time for a break. We can take a break anyway.
Hospital last night.
Hey, coming back on, we have Dakota from England. He was apparently not well, but he'll give us an update from Europe.
Well, I sprained my foot. I was out hiking and I fell. And
That's the update from Europe. You sprained your foot.
I sprained my foot. Not really. To bring it back up for you that really don't know, we had the mayoral election a week or so ago, and Sadiq Khan won the election by an overwhelming majority. We're going to have a by-election in his constituency soon. Unfortunately, my former MP, George Galloway, is not standing.
How do you feel about that?
How do I feel about that, him not standing?
No, the mayor being elected.
I think it's rather great. And once again, Nicholas, I think your logic is flawed to an extent. I've watched a little bit of Trump, and I think he plays to the masses. He reminds me of. I wasn't going to say George. I was going to say he reminds me of Prime Minister Brown during the 2010 general election. He kind of played up to the masses a little bit. And a little bit like
completely.
Are you going to let me talk?
Mm-hmm.
He's backing you up. Just keep talking.
All right. Aside from that, the European election get out campaign. The Prime Minister a couple of days ago gave a press interview, And if I was still in Downing Street, I really would not have told him to say this. And Jonathan, you're going to laugh. Our beloved Prime Minister has said that if Britain leaves the EU, it would be World War III. Seriously. And I cannot believe he said that, because I really wanted to take my bagpipes and just shove him up his arse, literally. Because seriously, how stupid do you
Has he got multiple names like Mr. Trump? Has he got multiple names like John Miller? You know, whatever Nick knows him by. You know,
Would you like me to tell you a nickname that the civil service made up for him?
You're good.
Thatcher's bitch.
Oh,
Seriously.
it's not nice, is it?
Oh,
I'm
tell that
lost
to the
in this European, but the bottom line is we haven't heard much about Europe over in the United States. I guess we've been busy with our own campaigns and elections.
Yeah, but seriously, Bill, I just want to ask you a question. Do you think there's anything now that Mr. Trump could do that would really put off his supporters? It doesn't seem to be anything of any kind of bizarre nature. Apart, you know, I'm not going to go into the depths of animal sodomy or some really nasty stuff on here. But is there literally is there anything, Bill, that Mr. Trump would do that would really put off his supporters? Do you think?
Sacrifice a goat on live television?
No, they'd like it. You know, they'd like it.
I'm just asking, Bill. Is there anything? Is there any bizarre action or recording that would put them off at all, Bill?
Well, the only thing I can think of.
Sorry.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
No, I was outside before I sprained my ankle. I was outside Westminster, and I saw a tourist actually from Texas. He had a Donald Trump hat on his head that said "Make America Great Again," and I actually walked up to him and I said, "Do you really think that's appropriate, wearing that hat outside?"
You know, I was exchange cadet at Sandhurst.
Westminster.
I got inside.
You're not really that great in my book. And I said, mate, yeah. I'll tell you right now, I'm not English. I'm from Aberdeen, Scotland. And if you wear that hat around me one more time, I'm going to kill you. Not little, really, but you know what I meant. Yeah.
Well, anyway, in Europe, in the military, they really talk about you not trying to look like an American to fit in. And it is for own security, but that definitely looks like an American, you know, the cowboy boots and the belt and the hat. I mean, it's just a unique environment. So.
I had to laugh.
Yeah, but I like Nick's response to this, Nick. You know, obviously, I think Sanders is into the convention. Poll after poll indicating that the reality is that if they choose Hillary, there is a really good chance she would lose against Mr. Trump or Miller or whatever he's called. You know, in pure political terms, do you think it looks like they're so committed, there's Democratic establishment, that they're in some ways they're prepared to commit suicide and vote for somebody who increasingly looks like they're going to lose against Mr. Trump? Would you agree with that, Nick?
Yeah, and I think it's happening in both parties. I think both parties, the establishment in both parties, is basically committing suicide. That's a good definition, because
Trump's not the establishment, that's for sure.
Well, he's no, and neither is Bernie. You know, that's something they have in common. They're both completely outside the establishment, and the people in the establishment are so fed up with business as usual that they're willing to commit suicide, and they're like a bunch of lemmings ready to follow and jump off a cliff. It's crazy. It's crazy. And, you know, I'm getting chastised by some of our party leaders in Orange County here because I say that I'm going to write in Bernie. And then Hillary's going to lose. Well, yeah, the way I'm thinking about it, it's sort of like a drug addict or alcoholic who's so far gone that there's no reasoning, there's no rationale, there's no words that you could ever say. And what you need to let them do is hit a bottom, a horrible, serious bottom. And sometimes the people die. And occasionally they hit a bottom, and that bottom kind of freaks them out so much that they finally get sober. They finally get real. And if the bottom here is having an idiot like Trump who knows nothing about politics, knows nothing about any of the policies, knows nothing about foreign affairs, knows nothing, and he'll get eaten up on the Hill, and the country will dive worse into income equality, separation of, it'll be like the caste system practically. It's already getting towards that, where there's the elite and there's everybody else, and it's starting to get people are dying. I mean, 650,000 families 650,000 families lose their homes every year because of medical bills. In Canada, it's zero. Okay. In England, Italy, all the Scandinavian countries, Germany, it's zero. How many people die because of lack of medical care in Japan, or lose their homes because of the cost? Zero. These are civilized countries. We are not. We're like a third world bunch of idiots. There are so many people, homeless people on the streets, so many people who can't go. Our hospitals are jammed because everybody waits until they're really sick and then go to the emergency, because they're afraid to go. Even with Obamacare, Obamacare was a little bit, an incremental push forward, but it still was really a big giveaway to the insurance companies, and we need single payer health care.
But Nick, I think it was one of the worst solutions. It was concocted by corporate drug companies with the conclusion of the Democratic
They were a
Party.
part of it. I agree.
And now you've ended up with a situation when you've got the Internal Revenue Service poking their nose into people's health insurance. I don't really think that's a very satisfactory situation.
No, it's not.
Where the Internal Revenue Service judges, what health care you should have or not. I don't.
My wife and I were talking about that today, and they said if they would have had 6 months of dialogue and actually discussed the bill, we would have had something better, first of all. But the American public would have never put up with that bill, because if you look at what Obama did, by the way, Obama, he campaigned on being above board, about being transparent. And he's probably the least transparent president I've ever seen.
I would agree with that, Bill.
And all the things that are coming out now.
He's one of the most. I think he's one of the most secretive.
Well, I think the Bushes were horrible, and the Clintons were horrible.
Yeah,
they were horrible. They were all horrible. I can't remember a president that was transparent in my life, to tell you the truth.
What did you think of Jimmy Carter, for all his faults? Do you think he tried, or do you think he was a bit of a?
I thought he was the greatest president we've ever had. I mean, we did not we did not bomb anybody or fire a shot during his presidency in any war. How about that? None. Look that up, Bill.
He was there for 4 years. I was at West Point while he was there for those 4 years.
And we were not in a war during Carter's administration.
Nick, we had hostages. We were taken hostage from.
Yeah, but we did not have a war.
We had a total failure. The rescue was a total failure. Nick, the rescue.
That was a small affair, Bill. That's like there were worse things in New York City.
Nick, do you know why the rescue was a total failure? Because the military was so unprepared. We were downsized. We were really taking a beating after the Vietnam War. We had no new equipment.
But that one instance, happens every day in New York. More people are killed there than all those hostages. So I'm not, that was not a big deal.
Yeah. I'm going to pause for a second. We're going to come back here.
Okay.
Folks, we are coming back on after a quick break with Dr. Coy from LA, and he's a Trump supporter, I take it. So
no, I'm not
talk to Nick, and I'll listen.
I'm not necessarily a Trump supporter, but I like his entertainment.
Oh, okay. Yeah, he is a good comedian.
Yeah, he's a top comedian. Give you that.
Real comedian.
Yeah. Oh, he's better than any professional comedian on television at the present moment.
So, what did you say in the pre-work up there, that Trump was a winner? He is a winner. He's won the primary.
He's a winner because he's the only stand-up comedian now that is getting all the votes.
Yep. Did you hear what Al Franken said yesterday? Bernie won by 22%. By 22 points in his state, but Al is a superdelegate. But he said, I'm still going to vote for Hillary because my opinion is more important than the voters of Minnesota. That's what he said.
Well, you need to know where, you need to know your position, really. When you're the swine, you're just the swine. You should
Suddenly
just
he's not so funny, huh?
I guess that fits into the concept of representative republic.
Does it, Phil?
He's
Does it,
been
Phil?
elected by the people of his state, Minnesota, as a U.S. senator. He's a superdelegate for the Democrat Party. And
Bernie
if they
won.
want to change it, the people need to unelect him.
Quick.
I'm saying it's one thing that's changed in politics. If you study politics, is with new media,
Yeah.
the way people get elected has changed, and the way you can control. For example, 100 years ago, congressmen would not stay in office more than 2 to 4 years because they'd be actually booted. The process just allowed a lot of turnover. And now, for some reason, your local representatives stay in office a very long time because of the ability of marketing, whether that's direct mail or the message.
You know,
It's gonna be good to bring
we
Bob on.
should cut this crap with presidency 4 years, at a time. We should cut it down to half, 2 years at a time. Because
Well, we got a
things are going
constitution.
too
I
fast.
would not want to go through a campaign every 2 years for president. Hey, Jonathan, I'm going to push you off, let Bob come in, and we're going to finish up the show and just talk about how politics has changed over 100 years and getting elected.
Would you? Let me go off and let Jonathan stay, please.
Okay, John, I have to have balance on here. So one of you, Nick, I'll let you go. Thanks for coming on today. Hey,
Okay.
what happened first of all, 2 minutes. What happened what was the result of your Orange County little, it's not caucus. I don't know what you call it. You say it's caucusing, but you're selecting delegates. When do you select your delegates?
It was the people there called it a caucus.
Yeah, it's like a caucus. By the way,
It was a caucus.
Caucus
It was a
concept.
caucus. It
Yeah,
was
I
a
just-
caucus.
I just want to ask Nick a question before he goes, and then I actually need to go as well, Bill. But I'd love to ask this question of Nick. Nick, do you really think you've got the Democratic Convention coming up? Do you really? I feel that everybody in the Democratic Party that really believes in democracy needs to go down there. And there needs to be tens of thousands of people down there. And we need to kick these corrupt democratic leadership out once and for all. And through non-violent protests, we need to make those people do the right thing for once. Do you really think it's come to that? I feel it's come that the people really need to mobilise themselves, and hundreds of thousands of people need to go to that convention.
Well, I agree. I totally agree, and I think it may happen. I think like I said, both parties.
I know that we're going to be met with violence. We're going to be billy clubbed, water hosed. They get the dogs out. They get all the even when they're faced with non-violence, they're clubbers. They set the dogs on us. They put the water hoses.
It depends who the mayor is of the
They
city.
pepper spray us. They do everything. But I think it's time that the people got some courage and went down and sorted out these corrupt people.
Yeah, I think I hope it doesn't come to rioting. That would be horrible. But
We've already had some rioting.
It certainly looks like a powder keg to me. Both sides.
I'm not talking about right. The only rioting will come from the so-called forces that are supposed to protect the people, but too many times resort to billy clubs, pepper spray, dogs, water cannon, and anything else they think they can use on unarmed civilians. They're the ones that are going to riot, not the people that have the courage to go down there.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are going to show up. I'll tell you.
I'm tempted to go down there, and I know if I go down, I'm going to be beaten. I've got no.
Jonathan, where's this exactly?
Philadelphia.
Philly. Going back to Philly. Okay.
I'm tempted to go down there, and I know I'm going to be beaten. I've got no starry-eyed thing that the response won't be violence if enough of us turn up. But I just can't sit on my backside and watch that corrupt witch just be given the throne and nothing said about it.
Well, no, that's not going to happen. There's plenty being said. Look at the riot that just happened in Las Vegas. And that was the Bernie people.
When did the riot happen? Yesterday?
Yesterday, yeah. Barbara Boxer's speech.
I missed so much news. I haven't really caught the news.
And she was, you know, she got booed so hard, and she's really not used to that, you know, because she's pretty popular in California, and she just got booed so hard, and she got pissed off and started mocking the people. Oh, well, you're going to lose anyway. Your boos don't mean anything, you know. And they got more raucous, and then they had to shuttle her off of the stage, and they all took off. The Hillary people and the DNC people took off because they were afraid the place was going. They started tearing things up, and the cops had to come in and shut it all down. I mean, it got. And why are we not seeing pictures of this?
I just want to ask Bill this before I go. Bill, if enough of us turn up in June and we're non-violent, we are going to be met with violence, aren't we, Bill? We will be billy clubbed. We will be water cannon.
It depends on the mayor.
And we will be peppered sprayed, won't we, Bill?
It depends on the police force and the mayor and what happens in law and order. I mean, there's so many variables there. You can't answer that.
Well, you know, we would be clubbed. You know, that's how the system, when the people really speak with one voice, that's the response they get. They get clubs.
Well, government has that's why I don't like big government. Government's the only thing that can really provide legitimate force against people. It's the government. It's not the individual. It's the government has the power of force. Whether it's collecting taxes.
All right, I'm going to go now, but I'll just put that forward. Okay. See you later, folks.
Jonathan, appreciate it. Hey, so finishing up the show, I didn't catch a lot of local news the last 24 hours. Been working on a project. And then, of course, Meet the Press was not on this morning. I did watch some other shows that had nothing. I haven't seen the news in Las Vegas. And I know I'd like to go over to our convention we're having here in Reno, Nevada for the Republicans. But Bob, you listen to the show. We've got a guest on who's coming in from New York, who's a Bernie Sanders supporter. Nick is left, and Jonathan Dinwoods are off right now, and they're both Bernie Sanders. Dr. Croy, I'm not sure who you support.
I support entertainers.
As Trump, then. Okay, Trump. And then Bob,
I support because I like to. You know, I mean, in America, I think entertainment is the most important thing. So Trump is the winner because of the entertainment industry.
Yeah, that's an interesting philosophy because he's definitely like more of an entertainer. And President Reagan understood being an actor and doing certain things to get his point across. And I thought he's very effective. Bob, what do you think? This has been a weird week, hasn't it?
It's been a very weird week. Like I said, I was glad to see the Democrats melted down in Nevada. I said I did watch all the videos about that because the Democrat Party's corrupt.
I watched a little bit of Fox last night, and I have limited TV. I have streaming.
You have to go check Drudge Report. It's on the top left side. Okay. Like I said, they had a lot of people. You know, were taken off basically as Bernie supporters. Delegates. They disqualified about 60 of them, and Hillary won by I think 40 votes. So it was corruption at its finest.
You know, supposedly
the machine at work.
Supposedly, the Hillary precinct captains, that's how you get the caucus votes, didn't show up last month when they brought the votes in.
Well, like I said, look at Toll, but they did boo Barbara Boxer. And that's what I thought when Nick said that, Barbara Boxer is popular. Yeah, she's popular in an ignorant state that puts Democrats in position of power from top to bottom, and the whole state is broke. But these liberal Democrats who just love that because they get to spend other people's money, it just totally pisses me off because they have to call Trump racist without any facts.
Yeah, I agree that the racism challenges should not be there.
Yeah. And the bottom line is what he said about allowing Muslim Syrians in from the area back there, which you look at some of the countries, Saudi Arabia won't allow them into their country.
Well, it's not race. You know, there's Christians in that part of the world too.
Well, yeah, I understand. Well, the Christians are being killed.
It's not based on race.
There's genocide going on in that area.
Yeah.
There is genocide.
Absolutely. You know, I don't have any problems for Democrats to spending people's money, but the thing is that they use it corruptly.
Well, look at our military. Our military is at levels below World War II, and we have a budget that's totally out of sight. We're $20 trillion in debt, and we're worried about putting in transgender bathrooms. And these people support it.
Yeah, maintain. I agree. It's ridiculous right now. It's not one of the top 10.
It's idiotic.
Like Obamacare was a good idea, but it's not.
You mean Obamacare or
Obamacare has been a good idea, but it's not applicable.
Hey, at least we're still number one in GDP, right? So
That's good to know. Hey, tell us a little bit more about yourself. What should we call you from? This is really interesting. The show, I like to have real names.
you can call me Bill, I guess.
Bill, that's a good name. So, Bill, tell us about New York. What's going on? You're a Bernie Sanders supporter. What I've seen here is from get-go. This is last year. I went to I'm not a Bernie Sanders supporter. I went to a Bernie Sanders rally about a year ago. He had 4,500 people here at the university. Very good. About 2 weeks later, Hillary Clinton had a mini rally here. It was limited. It was only vets and Democrats, and only about 300 people were allowed in. So there's definitely here some imbalance, and Bernie did take the northern Nevada area easily. He didn't take Las Vegas, apparently.
Yes.
But that's what I've seen. There's some inconsistencies from just observation from the rallies that Bernie's having compared to what Hillary's having. Like, who are these people voting for Hillary? They don't come out, I guess. They just hold her in the Democrat system. So,
can I ask the other Bill, why do you support Bernie?
Good question.
Well, me personally, I don't have some elaborate explanation for it. It's more of has to do with my affinity towards my party.
That's understandable. So you're a strong party Democrat. New York.
Young guys out there working. You don't sound like you're someone who's dependent upon government. So what does Bernie Sanders offer to you?
Well, I think a better question is, what does this country really have to offer to somebody like me, right?
Well, the country offers you the opportunity to be free, and you can be whatever you want to be. That's all they need to offer.
I agree. It does.
The New York, the Peninsula Manhattan area, I think it's 85% Democrat, if I get it right. Something like that. Upstate's not that.
But if you ask me why support Trump, it's because of borders, it's because of the military, it's because he wants to create jobs. Those are the three issues I support Trump on. What do you support Bernie on?
Education.
Free education.
Free education.
Okay.
The likelihood of that coming to fruition is essentially zero, but I mean, it's a tough go. I mean, we have Sanders on one side, we got Trump on the other, and we got Hillary in the middle. I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's we can. I'm not somebody who would sit here and discuss all these little details about what they have to offer. At the end of the day, I don't believe we have quality candidates to begin with.
But if you go to McDonald's, you're not going to get a filet mignon, but you're going to order what's on the menu. We're going to McDonald's. What's your choice?
I think the Republicans have some very good quality candidates.
I think a non-choice is also a choice, though. Right, Bob?
Well, you can if you wash your hands and take your 30 pieces of silver and just walk away. But the bottom line is make a decision.
And you and I are Republicans, Dr. Corey. I assume you're Republican. I believe that we had some pretty good choices.
No, I'm not Republican. I'm
independent.
I'm like
yes.
I'm like independently Democratic Republican.
Exactly.
Okay. Good.
He's firmly Jello, but we love you anyway, Dr. Corey.
I'm like all three in balance.
Yeah, he's Jello. He's Jello with the all the little fruit cocktail thrown in there. So, but it's okay. We like you.
Fantastic.
But Trump is independent and Bernie Sanders is independent. So I like both of them. So I guess independent too. Well, But I like the Hillary's ideas, for example, for democratic society. We all want democratic society, but Hillary is like reading from a script when she talks.
Okay, well, what are Hillary's ideas? What's a Democrat society? Because pure democracy is two wolves and one sheep deciding what's for lunch. What do you like that Hillary says that she offers? And can you depend on her?
Let me tell you. She offers. Please. She guarantees that the stock market will go up. That's what she guarantees.
Wow.
Oh. Yeah, her son-in-law did a real good job. Lost 90% of his fund that he.
And you know what? And Trump is there to protect Hillary.
Wow, that's quite a thought.
They're very good friends. They're very, 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 very loving
friends.
friends.
Okay, maybe Hillary's there to protect.
Married. Wait a minute. They both married their kids into Jewish family.
Who else did Trump have someone? One of the daughters married? I'm not familiar.
Ivanka.
Yeah,
She turned Jewish. She Google it into thing. Her religion is changed to Judaism.
Okay.
What was it before that? Did she have any?
Christian. She was Christian.
Trump, I assume, is he's not a Catholic. He's some
Christian.
Protestant denomination.
Interesting.
Hey, we're going to finish up with this one last question to everybody. And then we're not going to stay on for a few minutes. We'll stay on for like another 15 minutes. But I want to stop the recording. I don't want the recording to go too long. But I want to ask you, on both sides, all three, who do you think the vice presidents will be? For example, we'll start with Trump. That's the most unique one. There's about 5 out there. Newt Gingrich is the most recent discussion, which is getting some consideration. He had the contract with America in '92. He is. I thought he was a pretty good speaker for what he did to bring the party together. And really, the Republican Party since '92 has not really, quote unquote, related to the people and really kept their promises per se. At least
for Trump. For Trump, you want to know?
Yeah, for Trump, yeah.
You know that fat guy.
Christie, I think he's in the top running too.
Yeah, because he will be because he represents McDonald's.
Well, you mentioned Christie and others. I think
America is about commercial, is about food, Coca-Cola, and this is a Coca-Cola army. So that's what it is about.
It's funny you just mentioned that because we're studying some marketing. I have a business that has a little bit of marketing in it. And the discussion of Coca-Cola came up. They're a very large corporation and they still spend a lot of money marketing.
And they're Jewish.
I don't even know who owns Coca-Cola.
Well, that's why. That's why they're Jewish.
A lot of what Coca-Cola is because of marketing. That's kind of always been their strategy, and it's tradition.
And who owns the entertainment industry? Jewish.
How do you know that, Dr. Corey? Huh?
Google it.
Yeah. No, Warren Buffett owns Coca-Cola now. He bought Coca-Cola. I just Googled it.
That's not something you Google, though, Dr. Corey. I know that for sure.
Well, Google it.
I say go to the Middle East and see which countries sell Pepsi, see which countries sell Coke, and you'll know by that.
Yeah, that's a practical way.
There's Coke and Pepsi in the Middle East all over the place.
Not in some countries, Bill. I worked for Pepsi-Cola for 10 years too. So.
I know there's Coke. Coke is definitely dominant outside the United States. That's right. You did work for Pepsi a long time ago. For a long time.
And to me, like I said, what the doctor was saying about what America represents, I think that's his view. I really believe that America,
but Jewish people do not.
America is the last hope. Is the last hope for freedom and liberty on this planet, and those who are flippant about what America stands for are just sitting there and watching this country go straight to hell and doing nothing about it, except laughing all the way with the ignorant little laughs of thinking that they know exactly what's going on because they're elitist. And that I think we need to get a little wake-up call, and I think that's what Trump's bringing to America. Make America great again. The heck with the rest of the world. We need to take care of ourselves, build up our military.
Bob, I fought in the coalition forces in Central Asia, and I believe strongly in America that we are the power behind that force. But there's other countries in there who are part of that coalition.
Our military is cannibalizing aircraft to keep other ones flying. And we're spending X amount of dollars, unlimited amounts, and we can't take care of our veterans. We can't take care of our military. I don't get it. Our priorities are upside down, and we're going to be spending all our money now on having three-way signs for our toilets. If you got the plumbing, go to the bathroom that you're born with.
I heard something, Nick, Bob, I heard something I thought it was pretty right on this issue. This should not be an issue right now. The counties, cities, states should handle it. But the way it's been apparently, and I never even thought about this because I know some transgender people I know. I don't consider myself but I'm just saying the way it's handled is don't ask, don't tell, and don't show.
But you're 100% right. That does allow whatever sex you feel that day to go and say that's where you want to go. Now, one of the persons said that my worldview is foreign to him. Well, that's fine. I'm an American. I don't want to go to any other country. I don't give a crap about any other country. I care about us.
Okay, let me tell you something. At this time, America needs three things, and actually Trump will guarantee it. Number one, needs we need stronger entertainment around the world, and Trump he will provide that.
Yes.
Number two, our military has to be reconditioned, in other words, refurbished, and he's going to do that. And number three, we need to have we need to have a healthy society, and he will recondition this country so we be working again as a society to build this country from ground up. And he's a construction worker. He sees that we need a thicker cement, okay, to go higher.
Yeah, and one more other thing that I just kind of wanted to add on to Bob and maybe Corey's point of what you see Trump doing, you have to understand that this guy's a genius marketer, right? And I personally don't believe anything he says, but I'm sure a lot of people do buy what he says, and that was his intention. And what he does is frame everything you would love to hear, right? And he pushes it forward, and he looks like he believes everything he says, and he may really believe all his bullshit after a while. Probably by now he does, but I think when it comes time to him, if God forbid he was to become president, he would be faced with some real challenges that I don't even think he would be ready for. Just as far as things like foreign relations.
No. What he's gonna do is that he's gonna do a lot of demolition. He's gonna do a lot of demolition work first.
No, but he would just do that just by existing. I mean, because his demeanor.
Yeah, that's
his
true.
demeanor is right. Like that.
You're
I mean,
right
the way he comes across is how he more or less kind of is.
He's a destructive.
He may be an asset in many ways, but as far as we are a country, and if he is the leader of the country, I just think foreign relations, that's key. It's a key aspect of a country's power, where they derive their power from.
Well,
he would ruin it. I don't see him coming. Even if he is very, this is not business within America is different from how things are conducted everywhere else. His ability to and then not only his approach, but how people would have seen him thus far, and they already have some sort of a formed opinion. And when he comes to, just listen, when he comes to sort of deal with things that actually matter on a global scale, he won't be welcomed with open arms. It's as simple as that. And I just see, I think it's
but you know what? He has to be at such a level in order to get the rezoning permits. He needs to get rezoning permits in order to do the demolition, in order to go deeper in the sand or create a thicker premise. So he's used to getting to the government and getting all kinds of rezoning laws whenever he wants to build. Now he wants to build big, so he has to be part of the government.
He definitely understands local government. He had to do what he's done. You know that, Bob. Hey,
he knows everybody. He knows everybody. He has been paying people.
Business law,
paying people to get the rezoning done.
Well, they all go hand in hand anyway. But that's right.
Very much. Bye bye.
The doctor has left the
Thanks,
building.
Dr. Corey from LA. Appreciate your input.
Love you guys. Bye bye.
Toodles.
Hey, Bob, some final comments for the recorded part. Just wrapping everything else today. You get to be, and Bill, our guest, will be the final comments. Go ahead. A couple minutes.
Okay.
So
well,
what do you feel about Trump and the process between the parties?
That's Bill. I like hearing that the younger voice. It reminds me of my grandson. But Bill, go ahead. Are you still there?
Yeah, I'm here. What I don't know. What specifically would you like to hear?
Well, you're from New York, and I can see why a majority of people are Democrat from New York. Everyone's different, even in the parties in the West, wherever you might be.
Absolutely.
The northern New England Democrats are very conservative in weird ways. They're like the World War II Marine guys who are Democrats, the working Democrats, who are conservative in a lot of ways. And it varies from place to place. But coming from your perspective, first of all, what do you think is going to be the outcome now? And who's going to be the president? We'll let you do that forecast.
Okay. So yeah, right. So I mean, as I said earlier, I'm not really keeping up to tabs as much as I should be. But who will be the president? Well, I think Trump might have a very strong chance of being a president. I think Hillary will give him some problems, but I think ultimately he'll attain the presidency. But what he'll do with that once he's in office, I'm not too sure. I think he may come into some serious realizations of the weight of some of these issues and what it takes to be a president. But I think ultimately a lot of what he says, it sounds good, right? It's packaged real nice, but I'm sure in practice, there's a lot of self-interest in regards to what he'll do for the country, which I'm not too sure is a good thing. I think we'd come into a lot of surprises. He may do some things here and there for the country that he promised, but I think what sounds good about what, Eckhart, Chad? But ultimately, I think he'll end up doing, serving his presidency, for himself, really. I mean, I think, I don't know. I never envisioned the Trump presidency. I'm sure many other people haven't either. But I'm not going to lie to you. I think it's kind of scary because, he can say whatever he like, but when it comes down to it, what he does, I'm sure he's a billionaire.
Bill, can I ask Bill about Obama? Because he promised hope and change. How has that hope and change worked out for you?
So for me, not okay, right.
In America, the 94 million Americans are out of work now, and there are 80 million out of work when he came into office. How's that hope and change work?
Yeah, it's not really. It hasn't really done much for. It hasn't. I'm not going to sit here and say it has affected me, right? I guess you could say that in a general sense it has, but it hasn't. Affected me personally, because I see things a little differently. I believe in taking things into matters into your own hands and whatnot, and really believe too much in government. But I feel that he should have done a lot of a much better job in what he was what he promised and such. I mean, it's unfortunate. I mean. But I'm not going to sit here and say that I'm surprised.
They had a show on the other night. Charlie Rose interviewed 3 of the guys that worked basically for the Obama administration. And they were pretty much just talking about what was the best lie that they told. And they were just laughing. 3 guys laughed about the fact that you can keep your insurance and your doctor. And they just started laughing. They lied to us with the intent of lying to us.
Yeah. Right. Exactly. With Trump, look, they all do the same thing. I mean, they're on a stage performing. I mean, I don't know. To me, what goes on behind the scenes is way different from what you see. That's always the case for sure.
Like I said, and to me, it's about time. And that's why I think Republicans and Democrats and independents and Americans are saying enough of this stuff. The basically establishment groups on both sides of the party, the Hillary group, the Jeb Bush group, they have to go. I said I supported Scott Walker was my first choice. Carly Fiorina was my second choice. So she's more than a qualified woman to handle the job. I had someone ask me what I thought about what I know about the inner city. Born and raised San Francisco. I live pretty close to the ghetto down there. I used to deliver Pepsi Cola to Hunters Point. And if you've been in Hunters Point inside of a delivery truck, you learn a lot about the inner city really quick. I've been robbed twice in there. It happens. That's what happens in the inner city. But the store owners would have to come with a gun in order for me to make a delivery, with a gun across their chest in order for me to make a delivery. Nobody should have to live in a situation like that. And if you don't say we need to get people out of situations like that, you're not American. And all you're going to do is use those people for what you can, which is their vote, and then you don't care about them. And that's what frustrates the heck out of me. But I hope that's a good one. Let's have those the left and the right. Let's have that discussion. Let's have
it. We've been trying to have that since the beginning of time.
Yes. But now who's been stopping us from having it? The establishment. And the establishment this year is basically gone. The Republicans who just laid down to Obama, gave everything he wanted because they're afraid of being called racist, as these other jackasses who come on here since you're recording. They call Trump a racist right off the bat.
Yeah.
Right.
You can't defeat a man in his argument. Don't worry about it. You can always call him a name. So they call him a name. What he says about having borders If you don't have borders, you don't have a country. If New York doesn't have borders, you don't have a state.
Right, and I think too
when
he says what he says too, and he says it the way he says it, it can come across to many people a little differently, and which is a wrong interpretation, really. But he also is a guy who's not really interested in so much how you're taking it, but it's the principle.
What is the Obama administration? They don't call criminals criminals. They don't call terrorists terrorists. They don't call rapists rapists. Now they want to call criminals justice-involved individuals. They're not going to call them criminals. You're not going to be a felon. You are a justice-involved individual.
For those who read Orwell's writings, he wrote about you had to be scared when government starts changing words. And that's what Orwell did in his book. Government was changing words and making different meanings out of what laws which were passed by the legislation. So the bureaucrats were taking the legislation, changing the words, changing the meaning of words. And I see that very clearly right now, especially with this mandate on the bathrooms and the idea of sex and gender neutral. Sex is based on the physical means of the law being passed. Anyway, laws. Hey, I'm going to close up real fast today's conversation. Thank everybody. But what I want to say is maybe, I'm not sure, but a lot of reasons why things are happening. We do have a lot of social media now and new types of media that are allowing people to communicate in different ways. Accuracy of information is important. I would tell people to go to Twitter to look at things. And a lot of people say Twitter's not accurate, but it is fairly accurate. It's much more accurate than Britannica was. And it's a place to start for reference. That said, thanks for coming on up there. Say hi to Martin. Best of luck.
Thank you, Bill.
About a year ago, he had, I know the FBI has investigation on him right now, too.
Right. He's under federal indictment. Yeah.
Yeah. On securities. I don't know the details. I haven't read about it. That's all I know.
Right.
I've seen him on Blab. So,
hey, Bill, I got to say, you have people there saying, Bill, you need to ask yourself what would change your mind. And that question needs to go right back to you. What would it take for you to change your mind, just to get off your rhetoric of Bernie Sanders and everything free? You know, the bottom line is you're guaranteed nothing in this world, a blank piece of paper. You make out of it what you can make out of it. You can't be dependent upon people like Bill to pay the taxes so you can stay home and do nothing. Yeah.
Right.
Evidence. What's evidence? You don't have evidence in the Hillary email scandal, do you? Like her iTech guy can't even find his own emails he sent to her. Corruption at its finest. Brought to you by your local Democrat Party.
I told a year ago, I believe in a lot of our system. I don't think she's going to survive. It'll be interesting to see what happens.
Nothing will happen, Bill.
No, I think something will happen. I don't think she'll survive this. I don't see how she can.
It should, but there's 3 or 4 different justice systems in this country here. Eric Holder's doing fundraiser for Hillary Clinton. You think he might know a little bit what's going on? Fast and Furious Eric Holder? You might know a little bit what's going on with the corruption? Come on. You know, it's ridiculous. They protect their own, Bill. They protect their own, right?
You know, we could go on. We'll finish up. Thanks, everybody. I'm going to continue on for a few minutes without recording. We'll bring it back up. This is going to get Bill up from New York. That's how we usually finish it.
Yes. She's sitting up there with George W. Bush.
Thanks, Jonathan, Bill, Matt, everyone who came on today. We appreciate it. I should have got your emails. Hey, send me an email. Put my email in here, and I'll put you on a distro list. Weird. I put my email in there, and I'm like, once again. Don't spend too much time on Blab, everybody.
Good night, Mr. Calabash, wherever you are. Have a great week, Bill.
Take care.